Another day in the NBA here, and the work begins as it always does. Today's got a 7-gamer where there's no real night slate. We're just doing all the games available. So, got to do a lot of work today, but we're going to do what we always do here on the Splash Play channel. I'm going to dig in and compare my projections. That's one that industry leaders out there are friends over at Stokastic. We'll see what top plays are, top value plays are. Let's go game by game, check the ownership along the way, see where the leverage spots are. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run a sim. We'll see what their sims top lineups are, what the top plays are. Well, I'll do a hand build as well. And by the end of this video, guys, you'll know all the industry's must plays along with my splash plays of today's January 14th NBA slate. Let us get into it. And before we get into all the data, you have to share this. Yesterday was quite the sweat for me, and rare for me to tweet at this stage of things because I do hate tweeting. I do generally hate Twitter. No respect to people that are nice on Twitter, but a lot of them, a lot of things on Twitter I just don't want to see. But yesterday had a real sweat going where I didn't even realize one of the guys on our Discord, Georgia, who's in the YouTube chat a good amount, had pointed out I was in first place for 100K in the big 70K person tournament yesterday on DraftKings, $5 to win 100K. If you weren't familiar with it, I didn't know. I was like, oh shit, because I wasn't paying the closest attention. I just, put my lineup setting. I usually take a few minutes away from not actively watching the games, and I was doing some other stuff. Then started sweating a little bit more. So you can see here in 100K, including ahead of our old Stokastic CEO, Tom Kennedy. Felt good. Then I got a text from Eric Lindquist, and I would say, and this is no respect to Eric Lindquist, I love him. He's a great guy, really one of my best friends in the industry. Overall, one of the guys I like the most across everything that I do as a person. That said, bad gambling etiquette. Like, I feel like when you're going through the sweat like this, you don't want to hear from anybody, especially for me. Like, I'm real paranoid about it. Like, I wasn't watching the game, so I was like, well, I can't put the games on because then the guys will stop scoring. But Eric here texts me and says, I know you're a father and probably reading bedtime books and shit, because last text we had, he was like, he was texted about Ramondre Stevenson. I'm like, I'm reading books. I'm reading Arthur right now. So anyway, he texts me and he says, you're mega live on the $5. And I say, don't jinx me. What happens from there? Finish in 5th place. And I got into 5th place, held on to 5th place. Thankfully, a late run from Peyton Watson and Trey Murphy. It was a good lineup. So I felt good about things. Peyton Watson talked a lot on the shows yesterday. He really paid off. Şengün ended up paying off decently, though Bam Adebayo got him as well. So it was a good slate for me yesterday, but definitely could have been better. And I fully blame Eric Lindquist. Like, I'm putting it out there. It's his fault. He jinxed me. You don't text somebody when they're winning 100K. Just let it ride. And then when they win it, you go, hey, man, great job. I can't believe you won that 100K. That's pretty awesome. We got a slate to get to for today. So we'll do that, even though I would, now I'm never get that shot again. Winning that much money. Trying to make the font a little bit bigger for you guys, because I know there were some complaints about how things looked on stream. Or not complaints, but people who like the Google Sheet better because it is a little more straightforward, a little bit easier to see. So I'm trying to be mindful of that here. We're going to sort by our top projected players on today. And it's important to keep in mind is another slate where we have nobody on the slate, at least in my opinion, projected over 50 fantasy points. So that's what you're seeing here on screen. Of course, the new Splash Play podcast website, if you're not familiar. And again, I hope I am not lagging today because it always lags on my end now. It's great stuff we're dealing with technology-wise. The site itself is working well. Obviously, one day of having the site, getting a top 5 finish, that feels good. We're going to go through my projections here, starting with James Harden, 49.5 projection. Big thing for the Clippers today is that you have James Harden, Kawhi Leonard going against the Washington Wizards. So a big spot for these guys, 5.2x value for James Harden. I'm at a 49.5 projection right now. My ownership would be about 37%. So Fields at 15%. I am shocked to see the ownership be that low for a Clippers team that has had Kawhi and Harden dominating the offense. Zubac to a lesser extent as well. Certainly has some more rebounding upside against a Wizards team that generally not very good, but also a team that can give up certainly a lot of production on the road in LA, as sometimes teams get the LA flu just as much as the South Beach flu when you're having fun out there. But for James Harden in this spot, get a good projection for me. Top PRAs guy on the slate as well, if that's the thing you care about. I think James Harden in this spot looks like the best play in the slate, and certainly price tag 9,500. We need to get some better value opening up, I think, to feel great about paying that a bunch. But 15% ownership, getting more than 2x that right now. And for what it's worth, my sim exposure right now, just want to disclose it. I am running a simulator through the dashboard here, so it's not going to be one-to-one with what a Stokastic sim will look like. When I'm playing lineups, I'm still using Stokastic sims. It's what got me the finish yesterday, so clearly they work well too. But for the data you're seeing on screen now, I am using this simulator because this way I could actually show you guys sim numbers and show people who are signing up for the site as well. Sim numbers throughout the night is supposed to be having to upload everything as I go. I went to the wrong screen here. Hold on. You see all the screens. Tyrese Maxey at number 2, 46.8 projection. You're going to have Embiid in, going to have Paul George in. It looks like all the various Sixers, Oubre in, all in the are probable right now. So for Maxey at his spot, I think the big reason that you're going to get to him here in the data, 3% ownership, that's a nice number. Right now getting 18% exposure in my sim here. But for Tyrese Maxey, it's a really high total going against Cleveland. So you have a spot where, you definitely are giving up some flexibility because you are playing Cleveland, Philadelphia as the first game on the slate on a day where the games are going to be going until 10:30 p.m. East Coast time. But for for Cleveland, Philadelphia, rather, you're talking about 236.5 implied points, second highest total in the slate behind Utah, Chicago. So for Maxey, we do expect him to have the biggest upside in that kind of spot because he's the guy that has the ball in his hands the most. That's a guy as well that potentially, if you have Embiid having a big day, Maxey would suffer at 9,900. But on a slate where we don't have the massive upside, on a slate as well where Jamal Murray's a Q tag on a back-to-back after having a lot of minutes and playing well yesterday, Maxey at point guard, I think, can become more beneficial as the day goes on. Number 3 projected guy here, Michael Porter Jr. If you guys know the deal for Porter Jr. this year, he's always popped up well in my data. Today I have him at a 45.8 projection. Stokastic has him at 43. For MPJ at this point, the big thing I would say in terms of his opportunity is that you have Cam Thomas back in. That's always tough to see, but he is facing a Pelicans team that does play at a low pace on a back-to-back and is not a great defense. So for Brooklyn today, implied total of 115 implied points for Brooklyn. That's great total, I would say, relative to what they're normally getting for the NBA. Maybe not as good, but for MPJ, who's putting up just shy of 1.3 fantasy points a minute, counting for the matchup today, I'd have him at 1.44. It is a little bit of a pace up for Brooklyn, who plays normally at about a 97 rounded up pace. Pelicans almost at 101 now. So for that spot too, a few more possessions for Michael Porter Jr., but he's been good in every category. I feel like he's one of those guys to me that has not let me down too much anecdotally. So happy to go to Michael Porter Jr. today, number 3 projected guy for me. Kawhi Leonard just a little bit behind at number 4. Certainly price tag wise, Kawhi a little bit more expensive, but like I mentioned, James Harden, 15% ownership, Kawhi at 10%. All these numbers seem a bit low to me, given the fact that we do have a slate where we just don't have those big pay up options. These guys are in really good spots. And for the case of Kawhi and Harden, you do have your late night hammers too. So you have all the flexibility in the world you want throughout the slate if you need any today. But for Kawhi in the spot, number 4 guy, about a 5x value for me. My projection of 45.7 is barely ahead of Stokastic's at 45.3, but 10% ownership for the field. Right now, I'm getting almost 30% for Kawhi. Jamal Murray on that back-to-back. The projection looks a little bit less good for me right now. It is something to note, though. Aaron Gordon not curling the data set because basically it was announced as probable before the show. He's missing back-to-back. So the assumption, I presume, in Stokastic's minutes was that he wasn't going to play. But that said, he is going to play. It looks like Jamal Murray downgraded to a Q tag, or he's likely going to be a Q tag anyway, but it's ankle injury plus illness. So we'll see if he goes. Jamal Murray, not the most prone to playing back-to-backs. Jamal Murray is in. He has the big ceiling. That said, Stokastic has him at a 48.4 projection. I've got him closer to 45. Yesterday had him a bit higher, so I'm a little bit surprised to see him be this low today, especially with Gordon not in the data set. But Jamal Murray, like we talked about, the rates don't really take a big enough increase overall where you want to trust him reliably every single night. But a 10% ownership, still getting him in 20% exposure of my lineups right now. You have to spend the money somewhere. Jamal Murray, one of those guys you can spend it with. Jalen Brunson, getting 9% ownership for the field right now. For me, the projection a little bit higher than Stokastic by 0.1, so barely. Jalen Brunson on your late slate as well. He's playing Sacramento, which is a team that plays with pace, a team that plays with not good defense. Having Schroeder out as well probably doesn't help that equation too much, I would think. There's Schroeder, probably a net negative or net break even rather with whoever they're going to replace him with in the lineup between your Keon Ellis types and all that. For Jalen Brunson, 9K salary. I think the other 9K guys look more appealing. A lot of guys in this 9K range, though. Harden, Maxey, MPJ a little bit underneath it. Kawhi, Jamal Murray at 10K. Jalen Brunson, 9. Donovan Mitchell, 9,400. Joel Embiid at 9,300, who I did not juke the projection for because that has not worked out in like the last 5 games. You got a lot of dudes in the range, the 9K range, even though we don't have that 11K, 12K pay up option. So maybe multiple 9K guys could make a lineup. I would say decent chance of that happening. Donovan Mitchell, 9,400. Again, not a guy who looks like a stellar play for me at a 4.6x value. That said, Donovan Mitchell, I think a decent play. We know the upside. If the ownership's not there in a crazy way, and it's not, only 5%. You could have big upside in the total for that game, like we talked about, second highest on today's slate. Peyton Watson, with no Aaron Gordon in the data set, Peyton Watson looks really good. Watson, I was bravely on the back of yesterday. He's one of the guys that got me to finish that top 5 level yesterday. And I also talked about it on the Stokastic show where I was big on Peyton Watson on the deeper dive. Josh Engelman was also big on him yesterday. Josh Engelman, excuse me, I should enunciate his name better. But he was like, whoa, you got that much. He ended up really paying off. He's really been a good player this year. Like I've talked about a lot, mid-range game, always a surprise for me. Yesterday he had some rebounds, some assists on top of it. If you get Jamal Murray out, it'll feel a lot better. If you get Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray both in, and Bruce Brown's a Q tag as well, like getting any more nuggets out will make Peyton Watson look even better. But he's got young legs, and I feel like he's really embracing. I mean, he was the Western Conference Player of the Week. Like, he's really embracing, like, I think who he can be as a player right now. And he's coming up a lot in my data. I'm happy to be there again. Fields at 5%. I'm getting 35 and change right now as suggested ownership. A little bit of a high number for Peyton Watson, I think, but again, worked out yesterday, and I muted him too for what it's worth. So there's ways to play guys that you like, be responsible about it. That's what I did yesterday, Peyton Watson. Maybe I would have actually gotten first place if I didn't mute him, but you can't think that way. Keontae George, Lowry, Markkanen downgraded to doubtful throughout the day with an illness. So Keontae George, a lot more upside here. Yusuf Nurkic seemingly going to be in. So those two guys are going to be the big winners for Utah, it looks like. But Keontae George at 43 projections. Stokastic has him at 44. 31% of the ownership right now for Keontae. I got him at about 39. And shout out OB here. We got Spags, cool new format. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been, I mentioned yesterday, a lot of work here, but you can check it out for yourself, splashplaypodcast.com if you're a member of the channel as well on the Squirt Squad or the VIP tiers. VIP tier, I think now, a lot more compelling offer, even if you're not using the CSV export of things. But I'll show you more of that as we go, but check it out. Links down below, and we'll talk more about it as we get deeper into the video. Joel Embiid, 14% of the field. The sim wants me to get 25% exposure based upon what it ran. And the sim that I'm running here, for what it's worth, if you really care about the deep dive into the data, it is a 10,000 Poisson simulation. So basically a way to catch the randomness that accumulates from points, rebounds, assists. The stats are in my data set. So that's why it looks a little bit different than Stokastic Sims. It's also, I think, going to hopefully differentiate the first part of this video, the second part of this video, where we just see Stokastic Sims, because sometimes I feel like, that's maybe not the most instructive for when you guys see my projections simmed out versus just seeing theirs. So we'll do that a little bit differently here, and I'm willing to see how it feels in terms of these. The ownership feels like a little bit weird here, and it's not as distributed as it was usually for how I'd show you guys on previous streams. So something I'm keeping an eye on here in terms of just how the content for the show goes. Joel Embiid, 25% sim exposure. Fields at 14. Again, coming up here above the field, even though my projection on him is not great. About 4 fantasy points lower than Stokastic, who does always respect that longer-term sample size. And last but not least, Karl-Anthony Towns, center only here, but is facing Sacramento, $8,700 salary. Definitely has a palpable ceiling, only 6% ownership, but a real flat ownership slate here so far for these top projected guys. So it's kind of a pick your own adventure. I would certainly favor Harden and Kawhi relative to how I view those games. But, getting to Peyton Watson, I'll be able to do that for sure if we get Jamal Murray out with Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray in. He's going to come down a little bit for me. MPJ, I still like a good amount. Jamal Murray, if he plays, I would like him. That's sort of how I'm feeling about this stuff right now. Let's sort by ownership. See our chalkiest plays according to Stokastic data. We got Kobe White here, 54% ownership. He's your chalk play of the day. That is why he's on the thumbnail with my very skeptical face, because for Kobe White, he's one of those guys that earlier in the year with Josh Giddey off, and even with Josh Giddey on, he was playing really close to him, getting high usage, getting high assist rate. Now for Kobe White, things have come down a decent amount overall at just a 28% usage rate, which is not bad for a second tier star, but it's not great either. 24% assist rate on the year. With Josh Giddey off the court, he's averaged a 30% usage rate and about 25% assist rate as well. So as a result for Kobe White, I'm at 1.25 fantasy sports minute. The fact they're facing Utah does make you think that Kobe White should have the biggest ceiling, the most reliable floor that you would have normally. And he has 5,800. So it's a good price tag for Kobe White as well, who when he's playing lately, he's starting and playing starter level minutes. Stokastic has for 27. If they were to give him like 28, 29, he'd probably come up even more. Fields ownership is at 54%. And my sim, though, I'm only getting 44. So a little bit light on Kobe White. Do think he has big upside. Practically, if I get into lineups here with Stokastic and I do get him at like 66%, I probably wouldn't be mad at that. 75 more, probably not thinking Kobe White's that kind of play. Jamal Shed playing starter level run would look a lot better if Emmanuel quickly got downgraded to questionable today. If he's out, then Jamal Shed will be your lead point guard, and that's going to be awesome for him. But even if he's not, you'll still get Shed playing a good amount of minutes because RJ Barrett is still out for the Raptors. Jamal Shed at this point, good minutes versus Indiana, about 30-minute projection for him. Fields at 33% ownership. I'm holding hands with that. But again, if you get quickly out, Jamal Shed, I think, at 4,700. Be nice if you were a little bit cheaper, but probably your play of the day. Though, Ingram will also look better if you get quickly out. Barnes will also look better. You guys know how that goes at this point if you watch these streams Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. I forgot to do this shit because these are also my visual cues, so I know how to put timestamps. Guys, we're sorting by ownership now. Before we go all the way into it, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It goes a long way for me. I'm just one guy here showing you my gambling, and that goes to this site too. Like ultimately, it's just an extension of the data I'm already looking at. These are views. These are ways that I want to look at things, process data that I'm building out in this site right now. So you're getting all that exposure to it, but ultimately, it's just me showing you my gambling. Do whatever you want with yours. My data is not gospel. Just because I finished top 5 yesterday doesn't mean shit. And I even like people that are congratulating me about the money. It's like, tell you what, 3K in money does fucking nothing. Like 100K in money, yes, I am doing backflips. 3K in money, yeah. 25K in money, yeah. 50K in money, we're really excited. Like I don't know if we're going yay. 75K in money, we're getting to yay territory. That's how I view it. But I'm still gonna keep doing the work here, guys. I'm gonna hope I hit before the season ends, and if not, at least I got 5th place and a 1st place in the 4-point play in the last month. Anyway, and also check out Stokastic. The data I show you here on screen, they are kind enough to let me show you. So 15% off all their data, all their sim stuff. Again, no matter what I build, I'm still using Stokastic Sims. Help me finish top 5 yesterday. It'll help you too. Click the link down below, then use the promo code SPLASH over there to get 15% off. Only deal they have going. And it's weekly, monthly, cheap stuff, expensive stuff. You can get a yearly package. I'll get 15% off. And of course, join the channel here if you want to get access to this very website, the splashplaypodcast.com NBA tool. You got to join down below. You can also join as a supporter, $5, and that means you get into the live chats, get into the Discord. If you want to get into the actual website here, see my matchup screen, see my projection matrix, let alone my actual projections and simulations, that's the VIP tier. But lots of cool stuff. Join down below, support the channel, and shout out to you guys that have been doing that because I heard from a lot of you guys in the last 24 hours. All right. Your top owned plays again. So we got Kobe White, Jamal Shed. Keontae George getting that uptick in production with no Lowry marketing in. Helps him out a bunch. Getting him in 39% of my lineups. Fields at 31. That's another play, too, where I could see that coming up as the day goes on. If there's more value, it gets easier to afford Keontae George at 8,200. You're going against a Chicago team that we're not too worried about defensively. Yusuf Nurkic. So Nurkic seems to me to be, in some respects, the better rate winner. And real fast, let's pull up the NBA Wowie because I think it's worth it. So we can do this conversation intelligently. Let's take off marketing. All right. Let's go to this tab here. All right. So this is from last year. Hold on. All right. So marketing off this year. We're just taking him off. It's enough usage. We can get a pretty big sample size. Keontae George, 28% usage, 7 assists per 100, 60% true shooting. So really getting his shot and hitting it, which you love to see. Kyle Filipowski gets, but it's only 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So not the biggest jump up there. Filipowski under 1 fantasy point per minute. You got a bunch of guys here who played bigger sample sizes. But down here, Yusuf Nurkic just played 414 minutes without Lowry marketing this year. He gains in usage, just shy of 23%. Gains in rebound rate, 16%. Gets more assists. He actually gets about the same amount of assists per 100 possessions as Keontae George, who's a guard. So that's kind of crazy. He also gets 1.2 rounding up DK points per minute, 1.16 if you want to be accurate to the decimal point. So for Yusuf Nurkic, I think he is effectively the better play here. Going against Chicago on a back-to-back as well. Not a bad spot. So for how it looks for Utah today, I think Nurkic is the better play, but certainly Keontae George, like right there with him as well. Would like to get to both guys. It's a great spot today going to Chicago team in a game with a really high total, highest on the slate, but also Chicago team on a back-to-back. Utah not in a back-to-back with Lowry marketing out. It's good things going for them. Kevin Love's out too, so it's another body that gets shots up. I appreciate the kind chats. Nifty new UI. Thank you for that. Again, making improvements every day. I don't know if I'm going to always make like gigantic ones like I have today, but we got some here, and appreciate the kind words from Ugly 8 Game as well. You get a tattoo of the website. And I agree. Keontae George is a budding star. I agree. Budding stud, budding star. He and Keyshawn both. Like if you gave them both unlimited run, I think they'd be doing well for you. Precious Achiuwa. Number 5 overall ownership play, 25% for the field. I'm getting him at 27 because you have no Keegan Murray, no Domantas Sabonis. Precious Achiuwa, not a great producer or anything. Got him at 26 minutes today from Stokastic data. As a result, the projections at 22.5. But on a slate where there isn't great value, he's 4,200 and power forward center. So Precious Achiuwa looking good. I think if we get like quickly out and you get Jamal Shed looking like an even better play, maybe you get less Achiuwa as a result. But you still want to have a couple values on a slate, and Achiuwa is one of them that looks decent. Brandon Ingram right now, have him at a 38 projection. Stokastic is a little bit higher at 40.2. The rates just don't take it quite as a big of an increase rather with RJ Barrett off as it does for Quickly, as it does for Barnes. But Ingram right now, 7,600, definitely playable. Would be a lot more playable, I think, if you get Quickly out. But right now the field's at 24% for Ingram. I'm getting 34, so not a huge stand there. But I think Ingram, definitely suggested ownership here a little bit higher than what the field's getting. Scotty Barnes, same thing, 29% sim exposure. Fields 24. He is the best fantasy contributor for the team overall. So happy to get Barnes in general whenever he pops up. $8,500 salary. It's about where he should be priced, I think. 4.9x value. For Scotty Barnes, though, if you get Quickly out again, just more peripherals to go around because Quickly does a little bit of everything. So I think for Scotty Barnes here, not a huge fan yet, but if Quickly is out, I would be a massive fan. Murray Boyles, playing a lot of reliable minutes, pretty cheap at 5,300. If you're telling me I have to play of him or Precious Achiuwa as a power forward center, I'd probably go Murray Boyles, feel more confident in that because he does play big minutes. In an OT game, he get nearly 40 minutes, and he's regularly like in the major rotation at this point with Barrett out. And also, he's a center too, so that helps. Pirtle out definitely has been a thing that's affected his minutes. But Murray Boyles getting 29% suggested exposure right now. Fields 23, so another guy here trying to push towards that is not super chalky as a semi-value. Nick Claxton getting 17%, Fields 22. My projection's a little bit higher. Actually, no. My projection's lower than Stokastic, but have him as a higher value than some other guys as a 5.2x value. The suggested ownership that I have in here does account for positionality and all of that, so I think that's part of why getting, a little bit higher on Murray Boyles, a little bit less on Nick Claxton. But Claxton going versus the Pelicans, never going to be a bad spot. Pelicans on a back-to-back is going to help out too. And certainly more missed shots for tired legs. Nick Claxton grabs some rebounds, rip them down the court. Maybe it's one of the ways that Michael Porter Jr. would fail is Nick Claxton going off here. Mitchell Robinson is a value, 4,100. Playing not quite starter level run, but 23 minutes is good enough to get to where you need to go for Mitchell Robinson. Facing a Kings team also that very often cannot shoot, probably helps him out a little bit. So 6x value right now for Mitchell Robinson at a 24.4 projection for me, 23.7 for Stokastic. Fields at 21%, I'm getting 22. Not a big stand there, but Robinson, I think a decent value if you're willing to give up your center spot. And last but not least, Aaron Sharp, 20% ownership. I'm at 21. Another decent projection here, 25.3. Stokastic spent 25.9. Claxton and Sharp here expected to play a few minutes together, as has been the case in some of the games lately. So I think that's part of why both guys looking playable here. But again, no runaway values yet. I think we need a few more people to get ruled out before we get there. And again, appreciate the kind chats. Fantastic looking info. I appreciate that from Johnny in here. Again, guys, check it out yourself. If you are a member here of one of the Squirt Squad tiers, the VIP or the regular one, check out the site, splashplaypodcast.com. And if you're not, you can still see the free player search thing. Look up, how's Derek Queen doing this year? Here's his numbers. You want to see stats for everybody this year. And again, we got to take off the search term. But you want to see all these people in the league, who's performing the best out of everybody. Riley Minnick's your per minute winner, as is confusing perhaps for some people to see up top, but he is technically your fantasy per minute producer here of note after playing one game and hitting a shot, grabbing a rebound. That's how fantasy works, I guess. For how this goes, though, I think there's some useful free things on there, more so useful if you're a member of the channel, so check it out. And we'll go game by game real fast too. Since I know a lot of people that are going to be new to the channel, check this out. I'm not going to show this one too much on stream, but check out the projection matrix here. It's a really valuable tool that I have for myself. On your version of it, you won't see Stokastic's data or the ownership data, but you will see the projection, the sim, all of that. You can sort by the stuff down below. So you can see all of them sort at the same time. This is a helpful thing I have in my Excel spreadsheet that I use to do the hand builds on stream a lot as well. So I think really for you guys who are hand builders, think you're going to like the Squirt Squad tier if you join down below. If you guys that want to like sim stuff out, get things to Stokastic sim really easily, you'll want to be on the VIP tiers, the way that I think the breakdown works. But follow your heart. If you join either, I appreciate it. But I'm just trying to give you guys the use cases so you can do what you want with it. One other change too for this page, this is our matchup screen. You also see all the advanced stats that I accumulate on my Excel sheet by clicking Stats Plus. So that's now on every page. So you got stats. These are all your core ones, your simplified projections, so to speak. My PRA projection, the usage, rebound rate, assist rate, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, all that stuff, fantasy points per minute, projection. But then if you go to this one, you can see how many points per 100 they're getting, how they're shooting at the rim, all that stuff. So I think pretty useful as well, but check it out and you'll get more. VIP is the way to go. I agree. And I say that as an unbiased party that totally doesn't care if you pay $50. No, but I think it's worth it. I think it's now, like, to me, I feel like that package is now really worth it. Before, I think if you're using my projections, getting success with it, it was also worth it. But now I think it's more worth it for more people. So check it out. Join down below. All right, game by game here, we're going to go Cleveland, Philadelphia, 236.5 combined total here. The Cavs have a 117.5 total, so one of the highest on the slate. As you can see here, the sim would like me to get a little bit more of Donovan Mitchell. Fields at 5%. I'm getting 20. It is a really high total here, so you get more of your high usage guys. Slash Jared Allen coming up at 11%. Getting Mobley at about 13, Mitchell at 20. Not so much Darius Garland, but Fields only at 1%. I'm getting 6. He doesn't project that well, but certainly I'm sure if you're running 10,000 sims in a Poisson distribution, I'm not trying to sound fancy, it's just that's the way it works. Garland's going to come up because you're kind of doing the randomness on stats. So like in some of those games, he probably has, a bunch of assists. He probably has some steals, probably goes nuts in points sometimes. So I get why Garland comes up a little bit, even though he doesn't project well at all. But really, not a great spot for Cleveland on paper projection-wise. I think in terms of how a game would look here, when you have that high of a total competitive spot versus Philadelphia, I do think the Cavs, not a bad team today. The projections are not there. Philadelphia, trying to make sure I scroll to a spot where you guys could see everything okay. There we go. We got 119 implied points for them. So the fact that they're a favorite, kind of a surprise, right? I know Cleveland's been playing down this year, but I think they should be favored. That said, Maxey here getting 18%. Joel Embiid, 25% sim exposure. Really, for me, not the biggest stands in the world that I want to keep necessarily. But Maxey at 3% ownership, I think getting 10 feels about right. Embiid, if he's going to be 15, getting 15 to 20, I think feels about right. Edgecombe, suggested ownership of 7% here. Paul George at 8, Fields at 9. I think getting those guys closer to flat makes sense, but practically you might not get those guys in equal amounts. Again, it's a really high total, so it feels like you should like something, but both teams fully stocked at this point. Like, you're missing Dean Wade, who cares? You're missing nothing for Philadelphia at this point. Hard game to love, but to me, it kind of feels like the Phoenix and Miami game yesterday bit me in the ass. First game on the slate, so you lose some flexibility, but maybe get an outlier there just because the total's pretty high. And even though it's a 7-game slate, like, the total's high for a 7-game slate. We got Toronto and Indiana here, 222.5 implied points. We got Scotty Barnes looking like the best play for me here, getting 29% exposure, suggested exposure is the way that it looks. Fields at 24%. Brandon Ingram getting 34%. Fields at 24%. So another positive stand on him here with, no Barrett. It's really probably the big reason I would guess. It's because it's not a great total for Toronto at 112.5 implied points. Getting Barnes, Ingram close to the field, a little bit above it. That's fine. Murray, Boyles, close to the field, above it, fine. Jamal Shed dead with the field. If Quickly is out, that's going to change because at 4,700 to be one of the best values on the slate, I think, by a pretty decent margin. But as it is right now, the Raptors seem like a play. You get some of these guys here because they're slightly underpriced for life without RJ Barrett. But honestly, really the only guys that stand out as a value. Ingram's a 5x, Murray, Boyles 5.4, Shed 5.8. They're not screaming values like they have been at other times. Indiana on their side, again, Siakam, 16% suggested ownership, Fields at 6. Nembhard, 9%, the Fields at 5. Getting a little bit of Neesmith as well. No real big stands here. Another team that, even though Benedict Mathurin is out, kind of seems like the prices have caught up with where they need to go. Nembhard obviously has a bigger ceiling. McConnell even has a bigger ceiling off the bench for having no Mathurin. Siakam does gain too, but really none of these guys stand out meaningfully. I think the Mathurin discount at this point is mostly gone. Jay Huff lately spiked as well, but not necessarily trying to point chase that. Brooklyn, the Pelicans, 228.5 combined here. Brooklyn, 115 implied points on their side. Get a pretty high total relative to Brooklyn standards. That said, for Brooklyn here, Michael Porter Jr., 10% owned for the field. Happy to get 3x a field on that. That's where my final numbers land. He's been a great producer on the year, putting up 1.29 fan sports minutes. You can see over here. And relative to today's matchup, I'd have him at 1.44. For Nick Claxton, 17% sim exposure for me. Fields at 22. Not a pro stand, but he does look decent to me as a 5.2x value. And certainly, if the Pelicans on a back-to-back, again, tired legs is a real thing in the NBA. They brick more shots. Claxton benefits, I think, in that spot because he is a rebound hog, and he'll also rip him and bring him upfield, try to create off that. Could be one of the spots for Claxton today. Day'Ron Sharp, the only real stand I have here, 21%. The Field's at 20. But really, not a lot of guys to love, according to the field, for the Nets. Seems like you're only getting the bigs here with Claxton and Sharp's minutes both being a little more reliable for both, and the fact they could share minutes better for both. For the Pelicans on their side, we got Trey Murphy, a guy who could have scored a few more points yesterday. If he scored 7 more points, it would have been a much happier guy. That said, for Trey Murphy here, he's always a guy, if I get in a tournament, I don't mind. He's just such a lights out shooter, on the year, 64% true shooting, for a guy who is gunning from deep a good amount. He's putting up, I need the stats plus on all these lines. He's putting up 10.5 threes per 100 possessions. Overall, 8 3-point attempts a game. So there's some volatility to Trey Murphy's game if he does get hot in general. But for Trey Murphy here, only getting 13% the field's 2. So happy to get him above the field, but I don't think a lot more is going to come up. Zion Williamson, 9% the field's at 4. Zion projects really terribly for me, but he obviously has a ceiling if things break his way. He's definitely deferring a lot to the other guys. Even in crunch time yesterday, he really didn't take a ton of possessions away. For Zion, okay, getting with him. I think at this point, the projection still seems a little bit low, though, for me at 34 compared to Stokastic at 37.5. Of course, them acknowledging that longer-term sample size more, they expect him to kind of get more star-level usage. Derek Queen, always playable to me. I'm at 13%. The field's at 8. Price tag's starting to come up. He still should probably be, though, more of a $7,500 play would be my guess, but at $6,900, willing to get there at power forward center. Utah Chicago's, we talked about pretty high total here for these guys. Keontae George, the one that stands out the most right now with Lowry marketing out, 31% ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 39. Expected to produce about a 1.3 fantasy point minute pace today. Yusuf Nurkic, though, counting for the matchup and who's available for Utah, I have him at 1.44 fantasy points per minute. So he looks like a better play to me. Expected by Stokastic to play about 28 minutes with no Kevin Love, no Walker Kessler, obviously, and no Lowry marketing. So I'm getting Yusuf Nurkic in 42% of lineups as a $7,300 center play. Taylor Hendricks coming up a little bit as a value at $3,100. Kyle Filipowski really not projecting super well with his minutes not guaranteed here in the rotation. Stokastic only giving him 18.4 at this point with Nurkic in. If Nurkic is not going to be out, but if he were out, that would make Filipowski look better. It's sort of the way it goes, I think. Yeah, really George and Nurkic the only ones I really want. Taylor Hendricks at 3,100, getting about 20 minutes. Cody Williams, even at 3,700, you can play those guys. Bulls on parade on the other side. We got Nikola Vucevic here, 11% for the field. I'm getting 13, not a big stand. Kobe White, we talked about, he's your thumbnail guy because him starting, he should be able to have a lot of upside in the spot, given the high 122.5 implied points. I should keep reading the implied point totals, my bad. 122.5 implied points for Chicago. But for Kobe White, I think if you get a little bit less of him, not an issue with it. If you get a little bit more of him, also not an issue. I don't really have an issue with that either. I think Kobe White's just one of those plays to me. He's burned me a few times this year because I thought he'd play well with how he looked initially with playing alongside Giddey, playing in lieu of Giddey. The upside hasn't been there, but if he's going to have the upside going against Utah with a really nice total on his side on a back-to-back where everybody else on the team is tired and he didn't play yesterday, that's probably a good Kobe White spot. Modest Mazelis, who I've talked about a lot, your big rate winner overall with Giddey off the court. I have him for a 32.7 projection. Stokastic has him at 32 flat, getting 14%. The field's at 14. Not a brave stand there by any stretch. I would assume Moon 9%. The field's at 7. Herder 26%. The field's at 18. No real big stands here, but I do think the Bulls definitely going to look good with that total. And any Bull you go to who's not Kobe White, you get some theoretical leverage. Like Trey Jones doesn't project well at the minutes, much lower for having Kobe White Kobe White back in, as opposed to having Kobe White out yesterday, or Trey Jones, one of the guys that was in my top 5 lineup. But I think for Trey Jones here, he definitely would be your lever against Kobe White if things got weird, or if I guess, just playing in some of those staggered minutes, he got hot. Denver and Dallas here. So Aaron Gordon, not in the data set right now, but he will be when Stokastic updates. So probably not worth spending a ton of time here. But right now with Watson in, with Murray in, you put Gordon in. I think that Watson and Murray will still be compelling tournament plays, but a 10% ownership for Murray, 5% for Watson. I imagine my sim numbers will come down a little bit with Aaron Gordon in the data set. Peyton Watson, though, still a good contributor, even with Aaron Gordon in. He went for 50 yesterday with Gordon playing. So if you get Jamal Murray out, Peyton Watson, yes. If you get Jamal Murray in, Peyton Watson still thumbs leaning up, I think, as opposed to just thumbs down. Nothing else here looks that good. Getting Gordon in is not going to help out either. You get Bruce Brown out, you get more minutes on the wing for, Spencer Jones gets as many minutes as he needs anyway. THJ also gets as many minutes as he needs. Yeah, I don't know who would benefit that much from Bruce Brown being out, but there'd be more minutes to go around. Maybe Hunter Tyson gets in the mix more on a back-to-back. Mavs, you have no Anthony Davis still, obviously. He probably, again, will not play another game for the Mavs, if I had to guess. PJ Washington expected back in, or actually, no, is he expected back in? I think he might be a Q tag. Let me just take a quick look here on the NBA injury report. Dallas. Yeah, PJ Washington questionable, so that the correction there. Brandon Williams questionable, Musa Cisse questionable, Max Christie doubtful. So that's how it's looking right now for the Mavs. So Washington, when guys are questionable, they're in the data set. So if PJ and Brandon Williams are in, I do think Cooper Flagg looks a little bit less appealing. Still about a 41 projection, which gives me about 29% sim exposure, but the field's at 19, so not a big stand there. If Washington and Williams are out, though, I think Cooper Flagg will look a lot more appealing. Facing a Denver team on a back-to-back, it's not the greatest hold at 113 implied points for the Mavs, but it's good enough. So Flagg here, think he could be really variable from that. Think Najee, yes, Najee would also look better, but right now with PJ and Brandon Williams in, I don't think these guys are like must-have plays by any stretch. Best plays is all the Mavs in, I think, are Cooper Flagg and Brandon Williams, but if you get those guys out, if you get PJ Washington rather than Brandon Williams out, I think Najee Marshall looks better. Nembhard more playable. You might get a Jaden Hardy start, though he's not playing super well in the year, putting up only 0.84 fantasy points per minute. Yeah. Mavs to me just don't look great right now, but definitely things will look different when or if you do get PJ Washington and Brandon Williams out. All right, here's your late slate games, but they are also on the main slate, so we're going to cover them. We got the Knicks in Sacramento. Yeah, Brunson, again, nobody here looks great to me besides Mitchell Robinson, who's a 6x value. But I do think here getting Brunson a little bit above the field seems fine. It really seems like everybody's kind of low owned on the slate. Karl-Anthony Towns feels okay to get a little bit above the field, even though 20%. I don't know if I need to get that high. Hard at 15, Fields at 5. Mitchell Robinson, 22%. The Field's at 21. That's your biggest field stand and my biggest stand of the team, I guess, besides Brunson. There's upside here because they're playing the Kings, but projection-wise for me, nobody besides Mitchell Robinson above a 5x value. Mitchell Robinson is a 6x. I would love something to pop up more meaningfully here, but nothing really is. The Kings, we got 109 implied points on their side. No Dennis Schroeder, still no Sabonis, no Keegan Murray. Does mean that you're getting some pressure to ownership, 25% of the field. I've got 27 right now. Malik Monk, I'm low on. Fields at 14, I'm getting 7. Maybe showcasing him for a trade a little bit more. Those extra Schroeder minutes is a possibility. He's projected to play 27 today, but he's only producing about 0.92 fantasy points per minute. So at 4,900, Monk not looking like a great play, but, the minutes are there. DeMar DeRozan has produced about 1.1 fantasy points a minute with Schroeder plus Sabonis and Keegan Murray off the court. So Westbrook and DeRozan, your best per minute producers, I think, by a decent clip. And DeRozan, I feel like in particular, have slightly underprojected. Hard to love this spot because the Knicks are a decent team, and the total's not great for Sacramento, but you're missing enough guys that I do think tournament shots on Westbrook, DeRozan, LaVine. Monk and Precious are going to get naturally his values. I get it. The top 3, I think, could hit a ceiling here. I'm just not super stoked to get there. And last game of the slate, we got Washington, the Clippers, 107 implied for the Washington Wizards on this side. Overall, the game 226.5 combined. Given the pace down here, really a big pace down. Wizards normally at a 101.4 pace. The Clippers at 95.9. Losing possessions, going against the defense is not very good, but is probably better than the Wizards still. Hard to love Washington in this spot with them at full health as well. And their rates too. I've given them a boost for having no McCollum on, no Kispert on. Nobody really stands out here. So Keyshawn George, my data always likes a little bit more than Stokastic, but even he's only at a 29.4 projection. Stokastic has about 27.6. As a result, I'm getting 6% ownership. Fields at 3. Will Riley, he's the only 3K player, I think, on the slate who's barely playable. Getting him an 18% of lineups. The Fields at 7. And, maybe the Wizards get their ass kicked fully here as a 12.5 point dog on the road, in LA. But not crazy about anything here. Will Riley is a minimum salary play. Not the kind of guy I usually want to get to a ton of. Clippers on their side. Harden, Kawhi, I've talked about getting 2x, more than that on these guys feels pretty good. The spot against Washington obviously can be a stat crunch for anybody here. But for Harden and Kawhi, I think these guys, massive upside. Playing both of them, maybe you're pushing it a little bit. Playing one of them, though, and a good amount of lineups, I think, seems like a decent thing to do. Zubac going against the Wizards. Team is going to miss a lot of shots. Might have some LA legs as well from hitting the nightlife. Zubac, I think, a guy that can also pay off 5.2x value for me. My projection, though, 34.9, pretty much in line with Stokastic at 34.4. John Collins has had upside lately. I'm not as high on Stokastic's projection. He just hasn't been the same player, has Collins this year as he was last year. But, another guy that can hit an upside that has lately as well. Price tag at 6,100, though, feels kind of brutal. Carl Hard to argue anybody, though, because they're going against Washington. So really any Clipper you want, but I would say certainly getting above the field on Harden, Kawhi, Zubac is your late night hammer. I think that's the most appealing option here. All right, you've seen all my data. You've seen my little website. Let's go to the thing that wins the people all the big bucks, including me yesterday. I mean, I ran my lineups through a Stokastic sim, and real fast, actually, before I do that, if you do want to get my data, use it on Stokastic. Here's what you can do. And for FanDuel people as well, because one of the guys in the chat, Seawolf, asked this morning, you can see here, this exports right away to CSV. It uploads directly into it. So you grab the CSV, paste, just upload into the Stokastic projection when it asks you for it, and you can run my data on there as a sim. Same thing for FanDuel as well. And for you FanDuel people, FanDuel projections are built into everything. The projection matrix here, you can see FanDuel, matchups, you can see FanDuel. You get the idea here. So cool stuff across the board. My simulations, you could also see the stuff. FanDuel is not allowed in the simulator because I'm not going to sim those every day. But lots of cool things on my site, splashplaypodcast.com. Check it out. If you join the YouTube channel down below in one of the Squirt Squad tiers, you'll have all the access to the various things on here. So check it out. Learn more at splashplaypodcast.com or down below. And if you sign up, you'll get access right away. All right. And how you get access, by the way, is you go YouTube community tab, you'll find the password to log in. It's not individual passwords. It's just like your YouTube level password kind of thing. So it's on there. It's also in the Discord. So easy to do, but just in case anybody gets confused, I know people go, whoa. You guys have seen my data now. Now we'll see what Stokastic has for us. Before we do that part of the process, guys, please do make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. Ultimately, I'm just one guy showing you my gambling, my quest to finally get a six-figure win. I've had my 70 almost K wins, not quite gotten all the way there. I guess 60 is more fair to round that up. But I haven't gotten 100K. I would like to do that at some point this NBA season. I'm going to keep trying, banging my head against it. If nothing else, I'd like to win a few more 4-point plays this year, as opposed to the one I've won in the last month and a half. So join me on that journey here. Hit the like button, subscribe. We'll keep doing the work here, showing you my data, showing you Stokastic stuff as well, so you know where the market aligns in a more real way. Check out Stokastic as well if you want to see their things update throughout the night. You want to also run my sim data, or my data rather, on their sim. It's a great way to build lineups like I do. Check it out for yourself. Link down below. Use promo code SPLASH for 15% off. The only deal they have going right now, so check it out. Weekly, monthly, cheap packages, expensive packages. All of it's 15% off. And last but not least, join the channel here. $5 to join as a supporter to get into the live chat. If you want to see my data updated throughout the night, both the Google Sheet version of it is still available for a couple more weeks. Going to keep it going through the All-Star break, or on the site here. Join down below and join one of the Squirt Squad tiers, and you'll see everything. As I keep adding more and more things to that site, there's going to be more and more to come for NFL 2, for MLB 2 this season. All right. Thank you for that. Saw me holding down first. You missed the beginning of the video, or I did talk about that. Eric Lindquist ruined it for me. Got your lineups ready now to monitor injuries. Okay. Still don't think you ever need to build lineups this early. I will continue to say that. Build them in the 6 o'clock hour. Never really too much before. Top ROI lineups, though, is Stokastic data, so no interference from me here. You're just seeing their product as it is. Same one you get for yourself if you sign up. You got Jamal Shed at number 1, Brandon Ingram, Will Riley, so he's making it in here too. Colin Murray Boyles. I feel better about my sim now because my sim is not connected to Stokastic in any way besides just taking the same data kind of thing. That's nice to see. So Will Riley, Colin Murray Boyles, Yusuf Nurkic, James Harden, Scotty Barnes, Mitchell Robinson. So you play Shed, Riley, Mitchell Robinson, and I suppose to some extent Murray Boyles as value. You get whatever you want around that. That looks really nice on the slate. I like that lineup a lot. Number 2, Jamal Shed, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Colin Murray Boyles, Mitchell Robinson is value again. Keontae George, Precious Achiuwa, some of the other value out there. Karl Anthony Towns, not crazy about Cat today, projection-wise, with the matchup against Sacramento. Hard to critique that. Another good lineup. Number 3, Keontae George, Brandon Williams, Will Riley, Scotty Barnes, Yusuf Nurkic, Malik Monk, Kawhi Leonard, Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, I mean, all those guys are going to come up for me too, a good amount. It's weird. It's like a 7-game slate, but it does feel like a 4-game slate. Like it feels like the ownership's going to be more congregated around certain groups of guys, and I think that's what we're seeing here. Number 4, we have Jamal Shed, Brandon Ingram, Cooper Flagg, Scotty Barnes, Day'Ron Sharp, Kobe White, Taylor Hendricks, so another paydown guy there like a Will Riley, and Yusuf Nurkic again. So Stokastic data really supporting Nurkic as well. Number 5, Jamal Shed, Kobe White, Kawhi Leonard, Scotty Barnes, Day'Ron Sharp, Brandon Williams, Precious Achiuwa, and Nikola Vucevic. Vooch I'm not really seeing today, but everything else, sure. Top ROI players in the entirety of Stokastic's build here. Taylor Hendricks, number 1 at a $3,100 salary, opening up some minutes because of no Lowry marketing. You get how he's popping in. Most of that salary allows you to get the guys you need around it, as we saw with Will Riley making lineups. It's not about those guys being great plays, which means they project well enough, allow you to get the guys that hit massive ceilings around them. Number 2, Brandon Williams. He's Q-tag right now, but if he does go, he won't be owned as much as he probably would have otherwise. Him playing reliable minutes, as your backup, usually point guard, is always good to see. So not a great price tag at 4,800, but without great values on the slate. He's one of those guys you get. Mitchell Robinson, positive ROI as well, $4,100 salary for him. Again, he should be able to rip rebounds all he wants against a Sacramento team that can't shoot. James Harden at number 4, Precious Achiuwa at number 5, just ahead of Jamal Shed, Kawhi Leonard, Scotty Barnes. Highest exposures, Jamal Shed, 59% exposure across Stokastic's top 150. Fields of 32, so not a massive stand. Actually, no, it's a pretty massive stand, but not a 2x stand. Will definitely get bigger, though, if quickly is out by, I would say, a pretty good margin. Number 2, Kobe White, you're getting 59% exposure. Fields at 54, so you are getting a little more Kobe White than I think you might expect or want. But like I said, if I come in at like 45, I'm fine if I get, to me, if I got 66% Kobe White, wouldn't be mad at that either. I think he's that kind of play where, like, wherever he works with your lineups, whatever the data's telling you to take him at, he's an okay play, but I don't think he's like I got to get him in every lineup kind of play, like sometimes we have on these slates. Mitchell Robinson, 49% exposure, Fields 22, so pretty big stand on him as a value on a slate where there isn't a lot of great value. Precious Achiuwa, same thing, 47% exposure, Fields 24. I think this is really what the sim is showing, is like you saw how all that ownership was flat for the pay-up option guys. It's just taking more value and then kind of rotating the pay-up guys around it, it seems, and that seems to be the approach the sim wants to take on the slate. Number 5, you have Scotty Barnes, 39% exposure, Fields 23. And you have Keontae George, 39% exposure, Fields 31. Highest leverage plays in Stokastic's top 150. You got Mitchell Robinson, number 1, 27% more in the field, so pretty big stand on him. He is in almost half the lineups in Stokastic's top 150 ROI. Jamal Shed at number 2, 26% leverage on him. Precious Achiuwa at number 3, 22% leverage on him. You're getting him in also in almost half your lineups. James Harden's in about a third of your lineups, Fields at 15.5. Again, I'm surprised to see that ownership never be that low. Like, I feel like Harden and Kawhi versus depleted. I mean, not depleted, but like, I'm not gonna play very hard. They're not bringing Trey in for a reason. Wizards team, these guys have been good, and they're getting a pace up against one of the worst defenses in basketball. So I think you should get more Harden as well. Scotty Barnes, 39%, the Fields at 23. Getting about 16% leverage there. So all guys I like besides maybe Achiuwa, but I get why you get him too. He's an okay value in a slate where we have none. Your biggest fades, according to Stokastic data: PJ Washington, negative 12% leverage. Nikola Vucevic, negative 10% leverage. Joel Embiid, negative 9%. So they're fading him here finally. We got Trey Jones, negative 8% leverage, and Ayo Dosunmu, negative 7% leverage. So pretty big fades on some of these guys. You're almost entirely fading PJ Washington, Nikola Vucevic, Trey Jones, Ayo Dosunmu. But you get why. Dosunmu, though, does feel, he and Trey Jones both theoretically, live leverage against the Kobe White. They could steal a few minutes away, maybe close over him probably not, but maybe they could. There's ways that could work out, I think. Shout out Baby Gary. Baby Gary, that's not a baby name at all. Shout out Baby Gary for joining here. Glad to see new members joining on board. Again, if you're joining one of the Squirt Squad tiers, check the YouTube community tab or, sync your YouTube to your Discord. Get in there and you'll see the passwords you get to get into the Splash Play site that you're seeing here on stream. And if you're just joining to be part of the live chat too, love to have you as well. Make sure you join the Discord when you join, because that is where the value add is. All right, let's build a lineup and we'll call it a day. If you guys have anything else you want to see on my site too, let me know in the chat, and I will happy to pull anything up there, I guess, if you want. All right, but let's do this hand build. Let me pull up my stuff here, and we'll figure out where we're going to go at each position. For what it's worth, I am still using my Google, my Excel for this, so maybe I should just switch to the website. I think that'd be the full commitment that I need to give my products. It's also like so much easier to use the website version than my Excel version. I'm such a fucking idiot. You just get like stuck in your habits and you don't change them. But I guess that's just life, right? With everything. All right, point guard for me. Point guard for me, I think, would be Jamal Shed. Could be Keontae George, but let's go Shed. Let's get the value in because we want to make sure to get our pay-up options. Jamal Shed, we know will sim okay as well. So Jamal Shed, first guy in. Shooting guard seems like a very obvious Kobe White to me. Again, I'm skeptical of him. He burned me a lot. You guys remember earlier in the year, I was going like, man, he might be like closer to Giddey than we realized. And he just kind of kept going down, 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 down. Now is his shot. Like, it's a soft spot against Utah, and the team's on a back-to-back, but he's not. It's kind of situation where a guy like Kobe White should pay off, so I'm willing to be above the field on that. At small forward right now, because they don't have Aaron Gordon in the data set still, right? Let me make sure. At small forward, actually, no. He would be. No, they don't have Gordon in the data set. It would be Peyton Watson for me right now. But I don't know that projection will hold once we get Aaron Gordon in. So let me go MPJ. I feel like MPJ, always the guy that pops up in my data and usually doesn't sim too terribly. Stokastic doesn't love his projection. You can see there, he's just under a 5x value. But MPJ, if I'm not playing Peyton Watson at small forward, I think would be my preferred way to go. Kevin Huerter is a value too. I wouldn't mind. Power forward for me, I think Murray Boyles or Achua. Let's go Murray Boyles. Center for me is definitely Nurk Daddy. Got him projected too well today. He's my third highest projected center overall in the slate, and really not too far behind Cat and Embiid. Another guard spot. It really depends what we're going to do. Like with the other spots. Let's put Achua in. I'm not like stoked on Precious Achua by any respect, but there's just not a ton of great values at forward, and I don't think Peyton Watson will sim as well if we do get Murray and Gordon in again. I do like Peyton Watson enough to play him. Let's just put Peyton Watson in. Let's see how it does. We'll put him in a utility here. 6,100 left for a guard. Keyshawn George, Cam Thomas. Neither guy's going to project that well. We'll go Keyshawn George. We'll pray. I don't love not getting Harden or Kawhi in here either, but I felt like a balanced build came more naturally. So let's see what we get in the sim. We got Jamal Shed, Kobe White, Michael Porter Jr., Colin Murray Boyles, Yusuf Nurkic, Keyshawn George, Precious Achua, Peyton Watson. 33% ROI. I can live with that. What if I go Harden here? What does that leave me? 42.50 per spot. So then we got to go two values. I'm just going to swap a few things here that I like more. I'm going to put Peyton Watson at power forward over Murray Boyles. That leaves only 3K left per spot. Man, Peyton Watson is so expensive now. Yeah, that's you can't afford that. You're not going to put in two 3K guys. You have to put in like Will Riley and who was the other $3,100 guy they liked, like a little bit. That's not the kind of lineup that wins money usually. I guess are they our only real values on the slate? I guess they would be. All right, fuck it. Let's see what we get with putting in Will Riley at forward. And then who's the best value at 3K? Taylor Hendricks at utility. All right, so this is the team. We did a couple swaps. We got in Harden. We got in Peyton Watson. I feel like George is going to come himself on this build. Too much species. A lot of specious value. Let's give it a shot. All right, 55% ROI. Dead even with it, basically. We got Jamal Shed, Kobe White, Michael Porter Jr., Peyton Watson, Yusuf Nurkic, James Harden, Will Riley, Taylor Hendricks. So two real shitty values, but both of them going to be lightly played. Peyton Watson with a good projection on him, relatively salary up. People aren't going to go there at 5% ownership. Yeah, the data does assume that Aaron Gordon's out, so I think that sim would be a little bit worse for Peyton Watson if you got Aaron Gordon in the data set, but I can live with those lineups we built out. Those are winners. Not the lineup you have in mind. Well, thank God. That's probably why it had a good ROI. Yeah, you can handle it. You can handle it. Guys, I appreciate you watching this video. I'm going to give you guys my splash plays of the day. Before I do that, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Of course, it goes a long way for me and any creator you enjoy on YouTube, really. Because the more you hit the like button, the more the video gets shown to more people. And yesterday, you guys hit the like button in a huge way. Got over 2K views for a video for like the third time this season. So let's keep pushing it up here. You guys can see the work I'm putting in with my brand new splashplaypodcast.com site. The NBA tool on there. All of you can access if you get the right credentials down below. You can also check the free stuff, though, no matter what. But check it out. Really, I'm doing work here, and I'm going to keep doing the work Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. And between then, I'm going to be up late making my AI site work as fucking well as it can. Check out Stokastic, too. 15% off. Link down below. Promo code SPLASH. You guys know the deal on there. Does support the show because half the money you pay to them comes back to me. That's a big way I'm able to afford what I'm doing. So please make sure to go sign up over there, especially this week because I got to meet with them later in the week. So if you join today, that'd probably be really helpful. Join down below. Get the discount for yourself. Money to me, we all win. And last but not least, join the channel here. $5. You want to be part of the live chats and get into the Discord. If you want to see my my updated website, all that stuff updated throughout the night as well, with the Sims, with all those things built in. Join one of the Squirt Squad tiers down below, and you'll get access to that data. For you casual kind of hand builder guys, I think the Squirt Squad tier is the best. If you want to really dive in, be able to export stuff to a Stokastic sim, whether it's FanDuel or DraftKings, join the VIP tier. But you got to know what you're doing on there, because I can't handhold everything, and things works like it's supposed to. So that's it. Splash plays of the day. Number one for me, I think Jamal Shed is a value. I feel good about that. He'd be a much better play if Quickly's out. If Quickly's in, though, I think he's at least, nicely priced, reliable minutes, willing to go there. Kobe White, number 2. Yusuf Nurkic, number 3. And Kobe White, look, I've got reservations about it, but I think if you're going to have reservations about Kobe White, doing it on a day where he has Utah and a massive total, I think you should ride with Kobe White. Hope he does get more to 40 fantasy points, even though he hasn't hit that since like early November. But Kobe White's still one of them. Nurkic's still one of them. If you do get Jamal Murray out, Peyton Watson is definitely one of them. If you get Quickly out, Barnes and Ingram would be one of them. And I think I'll still play some Peyton Watson no matter what. But really the core ones for me as of right now, and hopefully we'll get some value opening up that makes this make more sense. Jamal Shed, Nurkic, Kobe White. Like that's your big 3. And if Murray's out too, I would say that Pickett's going to be pretty compelling value. It's 5,300. But I think he'll become a better play at that price. He won't be great value, but he'll be a better play at that price tag. It'll be a pivot to Shed as well. But that's it for today, guys. Yay, Robert Griffin III, giving me more money. Can't believe you're giving me more money. I've earned it. I've earned it, but check it out. You know I'll take your feedback more than most, so check it out down below. But guys, I appreciate all of you guys who are signing up for the site. Check it out, splashplaypodcast.com if you want to learn more. Of course, check out Stokastic too. Again, no matter what I build, I am still using their sims. That's what got me. Again, I wouldn't credit them if I didn't use it. When I had my 4-point play, you'll note I did not tweet Stokastic sims because I didn't use them that day. But it's a thing I'm using now, and it's a big part of my process. So check it out at Stokastic and really do that for yourself. But yeah, join the journey here, guys. Gamble responsibly, even though it is always money time here on these Splash Play channels, even though I'm winning top 5 finishes left and right. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Bets on YouTube, at Splash Play Pod on Twitter. That's my only stream of the day today, so I'll see you guys again tomorrow for more. 2 p.m. again, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. That's the deal here every day. And here's me. Here's me with my AI tools. I am a sicko. Staring in the window, me and Claude just jacking it. But I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy. And this is what people say to the website, right? They go, girl, you're thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. I'll catch you guys soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye. And if you got any questions about the new site, hit me up on Discord, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. All right. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.